Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another edition of the Lap Down Podcast. I'm your host, Greg Farmer, and with me tonight is Ryan, Tyler, and JP is back with us this week. How are we doing, fellas?
All right, doing well.
Can't complain.
Fantastic. Fucking fantastic. I'm in the middle of Walmart. Can't complain.
There you go. All right. As always, we like to give a special shout out to the Alkali Project for the intro and outro music to this podcast. Thank you very much, Mr. Will. Before we get started, I want to do something a little special. On last Friday, the racing world lost a legend. Scott Bloomquist was killed in a plane crash on his farm. And for those of you who don't know who Scott Bloomquist is, he was basically like the king of dirt track racing. The like I said, the racing world was in shock. And then on Saturday, something that happened close to me, close to my home, Deputy Brandon Cunningham of the Paulding County, Georgia Sheriff's Department, was shot and killed while responding to a domestic dispute. And the outpouring of support has just been amazing for this fellow officer. So if you guys would join me in a brief moment of silence. Thank you. All right, so we are just going to dive right in. We talked last week about the penalties for Austin Dillon and his actions at Richmond, and they did the appeal process today, in which they lost the appeal process, with the exception of Austin Dillon's spotter had his suspension reduced to just one race, which means he will be back with Austin at Daytona this weekend. And they announced today that they will be going to the final appeals officer to try to win. So the playoff picture is still very much up in the air as of right now. I've been following Bob Pockrass's tweets all day. He didn't really say exactly when the final appeals process was going to be. Probably sometime later this week or maybe early next week. But Ryan, we pretty much saw this coming, that he was going to lose this first appeal, correct?
Yeah.
You have any thoughts on it as far as the final appeals process?
I sincerely hope that the final appeals process can keeps Dillon out of the playoffs. I really don't know. Finals appeal, but stating a penalty onto the spotter, but that's the one and only person that deserved maybe even a harsher penalty than he got, and they let him off the hook, which I think is just ridiculous. Because, I think he was the one person that defending on Twitter after the race. Like, no one was defending the actions of the spotter.
No.
Because what he did was indefensible.
Yep. Yeah,
and he's the guy that gets the reduction in penalty.
Right. Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I mean, if they went and appealed and reduced the amount of points that were taken away, like the 25 driver points, as a way to try and make it not feel like they're being as harsh while still remaining with the one thing that RCR actually cared about, which was the playoff spot, I would have been okay with it. But then appealing that penalty, the penalty on the spotter, just seems like they went and undid the one thing they got right.
Yeah,
a few things that they got right.
I'm sorry, Ryan. Are you done?
Go ahead with your thoughts, JP.
So, yeah, I kind of agree with Ryan. I know we
I
kind
think
of.
JP's got some low signal.
Can you guys?
JP, we can barely understand a single thing you're saying.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Alright, I don't have to talk like come on the phone. Alright, so I tend to agree with Ryan. Once they had it right, they needed to keep it right, but I guess I'm not NASCAR, so I can't really say,
Yeah. I'd really
Go ahead.
like to know what I'd really like to know what their argument was to get the suspension reduced for his spotter. But Tyler, what do you think? Tyler, you are muted.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to unmute. I actually we're all on the same. I just feel like we're all on the same page here. Why take away the guy that actually did wrong? Like actually,
the one person that nobody was defending.
I mean, Austin Dillon. I mean, yeah, he did wrong, but I think he should have been the one that got the lesser of the punishment. Than
the spotter.
That's just me, though.
I
think the spotter should have been. I think they should have treated it just like Ty Norris and suspended him indefinitely.
I mean, what I said prior to the suspension being announced was I said a 3 to 5 race suspension. Either he can come back in the beginning of the playoffs or just suspend him till the end of the season. And I think either one of those would have been perfectly justified.
Oh, I think honestly, I don't think he should have been suspended indefinitely because one, his actions are wrong. Two, his actions could have got another driver hurt.
And that's why I'm not a big fan of indefinitely. I like having a set timetable for return, but I would like it okay, if you say through the end of the season, that gives plenty of time for reflection, plenty of time for him to learn what he did wrong and why it was wrong. But it still gives a known timetable as to when he's coming back versus, you'll be able to come back when NASCAR says you can come back, which is a who knows how long amount of time away. Yep. When they give indefinite suspensions, it's like, okay, so we just had to wait for a random Twitter post on a Thursday morning 3.5 months from now for them to say he's cleared.
Yep. To go along with the penalties, it was announced this morning that Parker Kligerman has been docked 5 playoff points and 20 regular season points for a spoiler violation that was found in pre-race inspection this weekend at Michigan. And his crew chief, Patrick Donahue, was fined $25,000 as well. There's really no details as to what the infraction was. So I'm not entirely sure why he was penalized. Ryan, do you maybe have any additional information about that? Ryan, you sound like a robot.
Yeah.
Why
you sound like a robot, sir?
All right, is this better?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I haven't actually been able to look into the Clearman suspension, or not suspension, but penalty too much. But I've got basically 2 main questions. One, why Cliggy? But also, 2, those 20 probably more notably are going to be crucial towards helping but until today. But it feels like that's the kind of thing that we should have at least heard was not caught if it was in any build up towards this inspection. Why did kind of just my main
Ryan, I'm not sure what's going on, but you sound there's like a really, really bad echo now, and you still sound like a robot.
Hello?
You sound better.
Hello?
You sound a little bit better.
Hello?
Nope, still sounding like a robot. While Ryan tries to figure it out, JP, what are your thoughts on the Parker Kligerman penalty?
Oh, there. Were you guys able to hear
Okay.
me at all?
Yeah. Now we can.
Go. It's cutting in and out real bad.
Yeah, you're cutting in real bad.
All right, well. So, what have or haven't you been able to hear from me? Because I have no idea.
All we heard was "Why Cliggy?" That was it. That was all we heard, and then it started messing up real bad. We can hear you now.
All right. So why Cliggy? And if this was found in pre-race inspection, why didn't we hear anything about it until 4 days later? Like, we didn't even hear that. Oh, NASCAR might have, like, half the time when things like this happen, especially in pre-race, we usually hear about it. We hear that, oh, this person was sent to the rear and there's probably an incoming penalty. I didn't hear anything about any of that this weekend.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't even remember. Was he sent to the rear of the race for it for the start of the race? Because that's pretty typical for pre-race inspection penalty.
I don't believe so. I didn't recall seeing anything about any cars to the rear.
All right. Well, that's because that's usually the precursor for a more severe penalty like what they gave Cliggy.
Let me go back. JP, what's your thoughts?
Sucked. This sucked. I mean, if they're going to give out a penalty, you know, why didn't we hear about this penalty on Saturday? I mean, maybe they said something on TV. I don't know, because I really wasn't around Saturday to watch the Xfinity race, but the thing about it is why are we just now hearing about this? Like Ryan said.
Yep. And Ryan, to answer your question, no, Kligerman did not get sent to the rear. It was just Joey Gase and Ryan Ellis. So
now something I want to dive into real quick is we saw 2 cars get airborne this weekend.
We will get into that.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Hold patient. Tyler, what are your thoughts on it?
To be honest, I don't really have any thoughts on it because I didn't really pay attention much to the Xfinity race.
Well, I mean, Kligerman didn't have a stellar Xfinity Series race because of it or anything, because they removed the spoiler
My thing
before
is, like,
the start of the race, like it was caught in pre-race.
I haven't seen really any news on it, so I'm like, I haven't really been following it, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So,
Well,
yeah, I don't really have an opinion on it.
yeah. Well, speaking of the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, they both raced at Michigan this past weekend. Justin Allgaier got the win on Saturday under yellow after a big crash on the final lap that saw Carson Kvapil get turned, and then melee ensued that ended with Kyle Sieg upside down. Sliding down the backstretch and then flipping back onto his wheels. Kyle Sieg did say post race that he was okay. He was a little sore, but it was kind of weird to see a blowover on a non-super speedway track, especially with the package that the Xfinity Series was running. They were running their super speedway package, literally. Almost kind of like a pack, and they were running much slower than what in previous years. And then on Sunday, Sunday they started the race, and then Mother Nature reared its ugly head once again this season, and they postponed the race after 51 laps to Monday. And Tyler Reddick finally broke through to get his second win of the season after finishing second a bunch of times since his win at Talladega. But the big moment in the race that everyone's talking about was flip number 2 of the weekend that saw Corey LaJoie get upside down after some contact with Noah Gragson on the backstretch. And that one was kind of weird in a sense because he just barely touched Noah and his car turned sideways and it just lifted up like a feather. And he pretty much slid the entire length of the backstretch upside down before catching the grass and rolling back on his wheels. This is from Bob Pockris. They sent Corey LaJoie's car back to R&D. And from Bob Pockris, after evaluating Corey LaJoie's flip, NASCAR is mandating a right side rear window air deflector this weekend. This increases the liftoff speed of the car in the early part of the spin. NASCAR says parts have been wind tunnel tested and quantified. So basically what that is, it's if you look at the left side of the race cars, it's a shark fin. They have the shark fins on the left side. Now they're putting one on the right side of the back windshield. So Ryan, starting with you, was it crazy or expected or what to see 2 cars get upside down on a track where we normally don't see flips?
I would say it was definitely not. It certainly wasn't expected by any stretch. And I think the bigger thing for me was I was surprised that, that how easily the car just blew right over. And then I kind of felt bad in the immediate aftermath because I was actually already putting together a thing for this race on number of flips at certain tracks. And the one I found was from the 21st century. And now Michigan is tied for the most of any non-super speedway after this weekend's race.
Yep.
I believe that because I heard
who's it tied with?
So
Dover, actually.
We can do this as a Jamie's fun fact, even though Jamie's not here. Anyone want to try and guess what the other 2 tracks are? Because it's a 3-way tie between Michigan and 2 other tracks.
Oh, I know one of them, Dover.
Dover.
All right, yeah.
No, Dover only has 2.
Tyler, give your guess
Dover
first.
only has 2 flips.
The other one has to be Pocono.
Well, he said there's 2 tracks, and he said Dover is not one of them. So you got to pick 2.
Well, I'm going to say Pocono, and I'm going to have to say another one. Ooh.
And this is number of flips throughout Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series races combined, by the way.
I know am I correct on Pocono?
Yes, Pocono is one of them.
Pocono, and I believe shit. Watkins Glen.
All right.
Watkins.
JP. Hang on,
So
don't give us the answer yet.
Yeah, I won't give you the answer yet.
I'm going to say Watkins Glen and Pocono.
All right. Well, we already know Pocono is one of them. I'm going to say the other one is Atlanta.
You are all wrong. Watkins Glen only has one airborne flip, and Atlanta also only has one flip in the between the 3 series in the 21st century.
Okay. So who's the
I
third
was kind of
track?
surprised by that one. That the only flip at Atlanta since the 21st century was the Brad Keselowski flip there.
Yeah.
So
who's the
other
third
one
one?
that was tied. Texas Motor Speedway.
Texas. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know why. 1, Michael McDowell. 2.
Yeah. Two.
What's 2?
Yeah, I say he said 2 and then muted.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I was hoping my internet wasn't cutting out again.
No.
But yeah. So, Texas, Pocono, and now Michigan are tied at 3 flips in the 21st century, which surprisingly is enough to get you the tied for most of a non-super speedway.
Wow.
And then anyone guess how many it takes to become the most of any track?
Well, Daytona and Talladaga's got to be in the 20s. So
yeah, those are definitely 1 and 2. Yep, Talladega and Daytona are 1 and 2. But Daytona is actually ahead of Talladega by 1 flip currently.
Oh yeah, because you throw in Ryan Preece from last year, that probably gave him the lead.
Yeah, that broke the tie. Trying to remember if there was a flip in this year's Daytona 500.
Oh wait,
Nope,
there was not, but they should technically still be tied because Corey LaJoie did flip at Talladega in the spring. He had a barrel roll right at the finish.
Well, it could be that I don't have the exact number as to when they were, because the flip from Ryan Preece at Summer Daytona last year might have offset them by 2, and then Talladega closed in with the flip of Corey LaJoie at Talladega.
That's true. That's true.
But so the answer for those two tracks, though, 29 and 28 flips respectively at Daytona and Talladega.
Wow.
What's the third overall?
Third overall is that tie between Michigan, Pocono, Texas.
Really?
At 3. 3 flips is all it takes to join those tracks in terms of most flips by a non-super speedway.
I was going to say, Daytona and Talladega are no surprise, though.
Yeah, no. That's why I had the quiz thing as what the tracks tied for third was.
Pocono's had many flips, right? Many flips.
And actually, the other tracks that I found actually quite interesting were on this list. No Shock Auto Club was on here, but a little bit of a nod to tracks that we have that aren't on the Cup schedule anymore. Auto Club, Rockingham has 2 of them as well.
In the 21st century.
Rockingham Speedway.
Dover has 2, and I remember 2 of them.
Yep, Dover has 2, Rockingham has 2. And then another one that is a little bit of a shout out because it's not on the NASCAR schedules anymore. Knoxville, in its limited time, ended up with a flip. The Jessica Friesen went up and over it. Yeah.
Anybody remember which 2 happened? Anybody remember which 2 at Dover before we move on?
Okay.
Well, Joey Logano was one of them.
Yeah. Take the other guess, and
Do you
But
count Clint Boyer in the Xfinity Series, the half flip, or?
It has to be a full blowover, and I think it was.
yeah, it has to be a full blowover. Same reason why some of the ones were like, I think it was not Chris Buescher at Talladega, but it was one of the Talladega spring race wrecks where someone got up on their actually it was Chase Elliott got up on his side but didn't end up flipping all the way over and ended up landing back on his wheels. Didn't end up counting that one.
Yeah, but Allmendinger flipped in that same wreck. He was upside down.
Yeah, so that one only counted for 1, not 2, though.
Yeah.
Because Elliott nearly went up and over as well.
I don't know what the second flip is at Dover. Please elaborate, Tyler.
I'm trying to remember either 2013 or 2014. I don't remember which one it was, but it was an Xfinity race at the time. I don't remember which one it was exactly, but it was I don't remember who driver he is, but it was like one of those two races.
What car number? Do you remember that?
I think it might have been one of the Penske guys. I'm not entirely sure because that one, actually, I saw it the other day. That's why I said something.
All right, so if it was a Penske guy in 2014, that would probably be your Ryan Blaney era of his Xfinity time.
Yeah.
So that would be my guess. But, yep, so I was gathering that data before the Corey LaJoie flip. So if that Dyer cursed him, I apologize. The worst timing for showing up.
Yep. So a fun little fact before we move on. Corey LaJoie is the first driver in the Cup Series to have one or more flips in a single season since Rusty Wallace in 1993.
Yep, Daytona and Talladega too, right?
Just two flips.
Today.
Just one or more flips anywhere in the season.
He's just practicing for McFlippin' burgers.
I saw the comment.
Yeah, I saw that one on Twitter earlier today and had to get that joke in there while we were talking about the LaJoie flip before we move on.
But going back to the race winner, Tyler Reddick, he leads the season in top 5s and top 10s and a couple other categories. So my first question to you guys, starting with Ryan, is Tyler Reddick the championship favorite?
I would say probably not.
And why is that?
I mean, for me, it comes down to the fact that looking at the championship format, if it was just about like season-long consistency, I think Reddick absolutely has a case.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Holmes advance through to Phoenix at the end of the year. One, you look at those tracks, and while Reddick's pretty good at, especially Homestead in that group,
Ryan, you're starting to sound like a robot.
pretty good at the flat ovals. Can everybody else hear me well? Because everything on my end says that my signal shouldn't have dropped. And JP, your signal's been pretty terrible as well.
Am I terrible?
Your echo is back, Ryan.
Okay.
That's better.
All right.
Anyway,
so when it comes to the situation, I look at the tracks that Reddick will need to do well at to advance to the Championship 4, and I look at the Championship 4 track in general. And both of those things, while, yes, Homestead is a particular favorite track of his, Overall, Bell is also very good at most of those tracks, and in particular, he is, I would say, the objectively best driver at Phoenix and on the flatter ovals. A track type that Reddick really hasn't figured out yet, the flat track. Like, trying to remember exactly how he finished at tracks like Homestead, or not Homestead, New Hampshire and Richmond earlier in the year, which are usually the two closest tracks for comparisons to how you'll do at Phoenix, aside from Phoenix itself. And Bell's got 2 wins at 2 of those tracks.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I don't remember anything about Reddick at any of those races.
Not that I know of.
So that would be my biggest reason as to why I don't have Reddick as a championship favorite, and that's basically just because I think Bell is the championship favorite. It's his most successful season, and while inconsistent, his consistency at the tracks that he's good at, Martinsville, Homestead, and Phoenix, the final 3 races of that year, he very well could end the year with 3 straight wins.
That is true.
Similar to how someone like Chase Elliott went average-ish through the regular season, then won Martinsville, Phoenix back-to-back to advance to the championship 4 and win the championship in 20.
Yep. Tyler, Ryan just kind of covered a couple people, but for you, with 2 races to go until the playoffs, who is really in the hunt for the championship this year?
Really in the hunt? I would honestly say I don't know if it's over Kyle Larson. I didn't catch that. But I think Kyle Larson and for sure Chase Elliott after last year's debacle, those 2 are definitely for sure in the chase for the top for sure. And Chase Elliott has quite a couple road courses coming up. I mean, Shane Mendesberg's been running them, but Chase Elliott really, really does well at the Roval. That's probably his best finishing track. And Watkins Glen he has a good track record. I mean, last year, we don't talk about last year. But then you got Kyle Larson, which he has some really good. Well, Kyle Larson has a mix of good tracks coming up, like Las Vegas, Kansas, and Homestead.
Yeah. My biggest argument against Larson and Elliott is the fact that, one, they have a teammate who's right there with them who hasn't won a championship yet, which the way Rick Hendrick seems to be doing it and the way Hendrick Motorsports in general, they seem to be kind of rotating the kind of cycle of power, and this almost seemed like it was supposed to be Byron's year, especially early on. And while he's been quiet, we've seen drivers be great in the beginning quarter of the season, quiet in the mid-season, and then turn it on when playoffs come around. So, and not to mention, I think the fact that they may have 3 or 4 drivers in the championship 8, I think the resources being thin for those 4 could end up leading to some power struggles. I mean, don't forget about the drama that Elliott and Larson have gotten into wrecking each other at Watkins Glen in the near past.
Yeah.
So that's where I just say there's definitely some concern there.
Yeah. JP, since its inception, the regular season points battle is probably the tightest that it's ever been. And it's between 4 drivers pretty much right now. It's between Reddick, Larson, Elliott, and Denny Hamlin. Who would you think wins the regular season championship after Darlington next week?
After Darlington next week, I hate to say it, but Denny Hamlin. I don't really care for it, but
I actually think JP got something right. Let's go.
I either think Tyler Reddick or Danny Hamlin, my personal opinion.
Yeah. It's kind of like, what have you done for me lately? And that team's been on fire. So, we'll see. They get for Daytona. I think Danny Hamlin's got it.
All right. Well, now we are going to move into our Flags and Black Flag segment of the show. Again, for our new listeners, as I say every week, green flags is something that we liked, and black flags is something that we did not like. And we will start with Ryan. What are yours, sir?
All right. So I'm going to throw out the red flag right away for the red flag for rain. I think it's basically customary at this point when the rain shows up, we red flag it because we don't like it.
All right, just pull the wet tires out. You'll be all right.
Yeah, I don't think that works at Michigan, unfortunately. I wish it would, but we don't have them at Michigan because that would be a dangerous game to be playing.
Can you imagine that at Daytona?
Yeah, I know. And the bigger thing would be the spray at a track like Daytona.
Anyway, continue your green flag, my bad.
But yeah, my green flag though for the weekend, I'd have to say honestly, just the racing quality, especially in that first 50-lap segment before the rain came on Sunday. I mean, we saw drivers of all calibers being able to actually make moves on the lead with relative ease, but it didn't feel like a super speedway plate race to do it.
Yeah.
Which I think is amazing. If you can pull off moves where it's like, okay, a guy like Bubba Wallace with minimal help can jump out of line 3 wide and take the lead.
They were talking about closing rates all weekend.
Yeah, and all that without making it feel like it's a super speedway pack style race. I think that's NASCAR's that should be the absolute goal, is to create that kind of racing without creating pack racing at every track.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to go next, JP, or
Go ahead, JP.
So my good flag happens to be
But
Tyler Reddick. He looked good Monday from what I saw, and won that race. So green flag to him, black flag, of course, has to go to the weather. You know, sitting there thinking we're going to get this race in, and then the weather shows up.
Yeah, delayed start.
All right, Tyler, what's yours?
My green flag was in general, like Ryan said, racing was actually pretty damn good. Racing probably was one of the best races besides Kansas all year on a non-super speedway.
Yeah. And especially where Michigan's usually one that I think most of us usually take dunks on for terrible racing quality.
Since the next gen car, honestly, in my personal opinion, since the next gen car, Michigan's put on some banger races.
Yeah. But usually, like, one of the things I remember, especially pre-next gen car, Michigan was basically the butt end for every, this is going to be a boring joke. That in Kansas, actually, because Kansas was the one I remember specifically being. Yep.
The only time it really got spread out was like the last 20, 30 laps.
Okay, no idea what you said there.
I said the last 20, 30 laps is when it got real spread out.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we heard you.
Like noon on that day.
Yep. Tyler, what's your black flag?
The weather.
Tyler,
the weather. The weather.
The weather. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So my green flag goes to Chris Buescher, who was in that big melee wreck where Kyle Larson and all them crashed. He was right in the middle of that. And
another dire curse victim.
Yep, but he drove back to a 6th-place finish, so I'll give him major props for that. Another green flag is NASCAR for at least trying everything that they could to get most of the race in on Sunday, even though the weather didn't want to cooperate.
Yeah.
My black flag goes to Todd Gilliland. He was in the middle of that big crash and decided he was just going to go bowling instead of driving his race car, and took out like 4 cars in one corner. Doesn't look like he even slowed down whatsoever.
Hey, at least Front Row Motorsports has enough confidence that he can lead that team next year.
Yeah,
because they felt like they could do without Michael McDowell next year.
Yep. But all right, so they're racing at Daytona this weekend. What normally is the regular season cutoff is the second to last race, because of the schedule this year with the Olympics and all that stuff. Hopefully it won't. I mean, I'm pretty sure it will be, but it won't be like, I'm hoping it won't be like Talladega, where they were saving fuel most of the race and then running hard at the end and only running 2x2. Because I will be there this weekend, and I'm hoping that the weather cooperates. But we are going to go into our race picks, and they are worth double points this week. So I have our names on the wheel, and I shall spin the wheel for the first pick. And it is going to land on Tyler.
Come on. Oh, dang it. Go ahead, Tyler.
I get first pick. Oh, I have a couple drivers. As much as I hate to say it, I'm gonna go Chris Buescher.
All right. All righty, Chris Buescher is off the board. All right, next pick is going to be JP. You're up for picks.
As much as I hate to say it, I said I was going out on a leg. I'm going to make Will happy and go with Bubba Wallace.
Oh, wow. Bubba Wallace. All righty. And next pick will be Ryan.
All right. Well, JP kind of messed up my strategy. Because, I was just putting 1 through 100 numbers into a number generator, and the first actually pickable I was going to take, and that happened to be the 23. So give me a second while I keep spinning through all these numbers that don't exist. Number 71, Zane Smith. There we go. Zane Smith is my pick.
All righty.
Because I think that is legitimately the most accurate way to predict a winner at Talladega Daytona. You have to just put the numbers into a number wheel and spin it.
All right. And last pick, last but not least, is myself. I am going to take the Daytona 500 champion, William Byron.
All right.
Also, I'm pretty sure that's probably the first time we've picked Zane Smith this year.
I'm pretty sure that was too, because see, I was expecting you to take McDowell, and I had McDowell in mind. And so, kind of shocked me when you didn't pick McDowell.
I don't want to dire curse him again like I did it in Talladega.
Are you guys shocked? I took Buescher?
No, because he won this race last year.
Are you guys shocked I took Bubba Wallace?
No, not really.
Actually,
shocked.
not really.
And say he's a good driver, and you don't really have any real negative opinions of drivers, so I assumed you just picked the best driver available.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Bubba's got triggered it this one, even though he hasn't won Daytona yet.
All right. Well,
But,
I guess that is going to conclude our show. I will get the rest of the picks before I leave for Daytona. Just want to shout out our sponsors, Fanatics, Century PC, Sleefs, W Energy, Duke Cannon, Bulletproof Coffee, Fubo TV. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring this podcast. And please be sure to check out the affiliate links in our podcast description. But until next time, I am Greg, and for Ryan, Tyler, and JP, this has been the Lap Down, and we will see you guys post Daytona. Deuces.
We should make